And good evening and welcome to another edition of Talking Wrestling. My name is Ralph Williams. Tonight I'm doing solo. My partner, Smokin Jim Frazier, is in the hospital right now with an undisclosed illness. Excuse me. Anyway, so I'll be doing it solo tonight. We have a lot to talk about, as we always do here on Talking Wrestling. Don't forget later on tonight at 10:30 on the Sports Web with Peter Blake, myself, Mark Mancini, Turnbuckle Talk will be on tonight. Last week I wasn't on we were not on because of I'm down here in Youngstown, Ohio live. My nephew is in a hospital. He's in ICU. He was involved in a fatal car crash, and prayers for him, please. And I'm happy to get the prayers I'm getting now. And all the folks that watch all my programs here have reached out to me on emails and on Facebook and stuff. I appreciate your prayers. Please continue that. Prayers for Smokin Jim Frazier as well. And he'll be back with me next week. All right, let's get started with our wrestling news. We're going to start off with WWE. I have a lot of news for you in regards to AEW. We have wrestlers moving around. We have the Revolution pay-per-view that was this past weekend, which I thought was actually a great one. And I got some breaking news that I just received about 5 minutes ago. So first, WWE, Brock Lesnar has tweeted that he does not enjoy working with Bray Wyatt. That's why that match was canceled for WrestleMania. Instead, it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt. Brock Lesnar is also going into taking on Omos instead at WrestleMania. We're going to find out exactly how good Brock Lesnar is. And you know what? If I'm Omos, just because he's a big guy, that doesn't necessarily mean that he can wrestle. Omos is not that good of a wrestler. Brock Lesnar's been there, done that. He's fought the best, the biggest, and he's beaten just about every one of them. Okay? All right, except for the matches against Roman Reigns, but that's beside the point. But anyway, I've seen him beat the Big Show. I've seen him beat some big guys over the years. So what I'm saying to you is, it's just because Omos is big, that doesn't necessarily mean he can wrestle. All right. All right, WWE breaking up Chad Gable and Otis. Otis is going to join Maximum Male Models, and he's going to be called Otis. Oh my! You know, I tell you, it's hilarious. Some of the stuff that you hear, or some of the stuff and creative changes that they've made with some of these guys. You know, the Alpha Academy really wasn't doing much anyway, so they actually want to push Chad Gable a little more to try to get him into some title matches. Otis is basically, I believe, going to be someone who. A comic figure with Maximum Male Models as well. Randy Orton's still not medically cleared to wrestle yet. We're coming up on WrestleMania, and he still isn't medically cleared. He's had that surgery on his back. So we're going to find out what happens with him. Matt Riddle, still not in any of the creative plans at this time. We're going to find out what happens with him as well. So anyway, two scenarios for WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. You ready to hear them? Okay, first there could be a fatal five-way after what happened over at SmackDown. Okay, also there could be a ladder match, which has Gunther fighting 5 other guys in a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. This is being looked at by the WWE. We're going to find out if the WWE decides to go with this scenario or the other one as well. All depends on what's going on as well. And Rikishi is coming to the WWE. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, why is Rikishi coming? Well, in case you're not aware, the bloodline is starting to fall apart. Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso played Sami Zayn right to the T like a fiddle because Sami Zayn is so stupid and so desperate to get back at the bloodline that he's not seeing clearly. This is the second time he's got punked out by Jey Uso. All right. I think that Sami Zayn needs to team up with Kevin Owens. The rumor I'm hearing is it's going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Usos for the undisputed titles. Now, there is talk that at WrestleMania as well, that there's going to be a breakup of the titles, which means you could have two separate matches for two separate titles, being the WWE title and the Raw tag team titles. Okay. But then again, you have the the aftermath of WrestleMania, that pay-per-view coming up. Okay. So you have that going on. So what's happening here is the way I see it, no pun intended, more or less, is the fact that I think perhaps at this aftermath pay-per-view, I think you're going to see some changes going on in the title pictures. And also, I have some breaking news for you as well. Fox has just announced that they have lost money on the WWE being on their network, and they've lost so much money that they're talking about getting rid of the WWE or restructuring a contract to try to make more money for Fox. So I don't know where this is going to go, but I do know that if it does go that way, they still have the USA Network, WWE, in their back pocket where they have Raw and NXT, that they can still get back on USA Network. And I'm sure NBC will accommodate them because, NBC owns they own USA Network and some other networks as well. Rumor is the Saudi Arabia team is buying the WWE. They seem to be the front runners. There's $9 million involved in this, and $1 billion involved in this sale. As far as what I've been told and what reports I've read, it seems like they're the only ones that have the capital to buy the WWE. Fox is trying to put together a group to try to buy them. NBC is trying to buy them. Netflix even wants to buy them. So, which means if Netflix was to buy the WWE, which I don't think they're going to do it anyway, okay, I'm predicting right now that I think that the Saudi Arabia group is going to buy the WWE because they have the most money in this whole thing. Plus, the WWE has a good rapport with Saudi Arabia. They put on pay-per-views over there. They're always over there for promotional events, things like that. So, I believe the Saudi arrangement would be the best. I believe that as well. I don't think that, everyone was all scared when we heard about this sale from the beginning about how, the WWE is going to move everything to Saudi Arabia and the wrestlers. No, Saudi Arabia is not going to do that. Okay. The kings, the princes, the queens, or whatever over there, they are not that dumb. Okay. They know how to work with their money. They know how to spend their money. They know how to manage their money. Okay. So I don't think that's going to happen at all as far as that goes. Next, I just spoke about the Fox deal and also Damage Control getting new members. I just read a report today that Damage Control, Bailey's looking to get new members for the group. She's looking at NXT to some of the women wrestlers there. And who knows, that could happen. Nikki Cross might join. You never know. I mean, Bailey's that crazy that she probably would put Nikki Cross in there just to do that. Also, Bad Bunny returning to Backlash, which is the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. And this year, the WWE is removing the WrestleMania Backlash part of it. They're getting rid of that WrestleMania part, and it's just going to be called Backlash from now on. All right, that is your WWE news. AEW, I have plenty of stuff for you tonight about AEW. AEW tonight, we'll talk about the Revolution pay-per-view, the different matches that have gone on, that went on for Revolution. I don't know. I'm not too happy about some of them, but, it kind of balanced itself out a little bit. But anyway, first, Wardlow's rental car, and I just found this out today. Wardlow's rental car got broken into. His championship belt got stolen. As you know, and if you watched Revolution, he beat Samoa Joe and won the TNT title. But it turns out he left it in his rental car, and all his gear and everything got stolen out of the rental car. Now, I don't know if this is a storyline or if this actually did happen. Okay, no one knows these things until we find out what happens. Powerhouse Hobbs is who Wardlow's fighting tonight on Dynamite for the TNT title. Also, Rebel, who used to be part of the group with Dr. Britt Baker, she has been cut from the AEW roster and has been removed from TV. Where she goes, nobody knows, but we'll find out. Next, Eddie Kingston has quit AEW, but he is going to be on ROH's roster and their TV. Here's what's going on right now, and here's what Tony Khan is doing, okay? Tony Khan is taking the ones that, are the jobbers or some of the ones who basically are unhappy with their position at AEW, and he's moving them to ROH, which makes sense because I said this many times. He has too many wrestlers on the AEW roster, and he don't know what to do with them, okay? And he's paying some of these guys to do nothing. That makes no sense at all. That's why Vince McMahon has always said that I would rather cut a wrestler and let him move on to something else and take money out of my pocket and not be productive and not do anything. Vince McMahon's still angry with Triple H for rehiring Bray Wyatt, and he hasn't done anything. Okay? And Bray Wyatt's getting paid a high amount of money. That's just like an NFL free agent who's a bum and gets paid a ton of money and does nothing. Okay? But that's exactly where we are here with Bray Wyatt. And he hasn't done anything either. So, but Eddie Kingston has quit AEW, but he will be on ROH TV. AEW is having an all-women's pay-per-view. This makes sense. They don't have a bad women's division, okay? They need to bring some people back, like Nyla Rose. They need to do a few other, bring a few other wrestlers back, get some wrestlers into AEW, and use some of the ones that they have. The former Amber Moon, who's with AEW right now, okay? She hasn't been used very much. So, people like that need to do more. So, in order to do that, they're going to have an all-women's pay-per-view, which makes sense. WWE had one. They only had the one, and I wish that they would have basically tried to have another one, but they haven't been able to do that because they can't get their women's division in order. You got one person doing one thing, you got somebody else doing something else, and you got your stars. It's a mixed bag. You got some really good wrestlers that are just not being used, okay? And that's what's going on right now with as far as the women's division. Their Bella Twins were in attendance at Revolution. Now, don't take this with a grain of salt. We don't know if they're there to sign up with AEW and wrestle for them, or if they were just there to support Bryan Danielson. And we'll talk about that match coming up. MJF says he's leaving AEW as soon as January 1, 2024. That is when his contract expires. He claims by hook or by crook he's leaving. Christian Cage, his contract has ran out. And the storyline through the Revolution pay-per-view was Jungle Boy Jack Perry beat him. And that was to get him out. That was the storyline to get Christian Cage out of AEW. His contract's up. He's not coming back. Just some quick Impact news before we go into Revolution's, the Revolution pay-per-view results. Former Impact wrestler Larry D lost his home in a fire. There was a GoFundMe page to try to help him out with that. NWA Bully Ray took on Mike Knox to take a shot at Matt Cardona. All right, I saw that match. That was a pretty decent match. Mike Knox put up a pretty good fight. And, of course, Matt Cardona is trying to do everything possible, just like MJF. You know how MJF plays these little games? Well, Matt Cardona is doing the same thing. What he's doing is he's playing all these games to try to stay away from fighting Bully Ray. And you know how MJF is. He don't want to fight anybody good, okay? So what he does is, like he did with Jericho and he did with Danielson, MJF is going to continue to play all these little games to not have to wrestle anybody. And that's what the goal is now for Matt Cardona. All right, AEW Revolution, MJF versus Bryan Danielson. Unfortunately, MJF won this match. We kind of suspected it was going to happen, AEW is riding the momentum right now with MJF. Whether anyone likes it or not, I'm one of them who I can't stand MJF. I think he's just a jerk. I think he should not be champion. But I believe that that's the plan right now with AEW. They might as well get what they can out of him before he leaves for WWE. All right. AEW tag team belts. The Gun Club won their belts back. They had to fight 4 other teams in this big fatal 5-way, and they came out on top. I was actually quite surprised. I actually thought Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett were going to either take it back, or the Acclaim, who were also in that match, were going to try to get it back. Jon Moxley lost to Hangman Page in a Texas death match. Who would ever thought that Jon Moxley would lose that type of a match? That's a Jon Moxley match. But Hangman got some sort of revenge and was able to win that match. All right. Ricky Starks, believe it or not, beat Chris Jericho. Here's another surprising match. But once again, Jericho's been losing some matches lately, and I know it's probably a storyline. I know that Fosse is getting ready to go back out on the road, Jericho's rock band. They're going to be in Pittsburgh coming up sometime in the next month or so. So I know that Fosse's going back out on the road, which means Jericho's not going to be able to wrestle as much. Whether he could balance both schedules, I don't know. But we're going to find out what happens down the road. I think the Jericho Appreciation Society is either going to break up or they're going to be together, but they're going to have a new leader and a new name maybe. If Jericho does decide to go and tour with Fosse and try to wrestle at the same time, I don't see how that can be based on a full-time schedule like that. Both being in rock and roll music and being in wrestling just doesn't seem to be able to work together as far as touring goes. Anyway, so let's see. What do we have here next? Jungle Boy Jack Perry, he beat Christian Cage in a death, burial, buried alive match or whatever it was called. And now say goodbye to Christian Cage. He's gone. Supposedly, he's it may be coming back to WWE to help Edge. And I'm hearing stories as well. And this might sound strange, but I'm hearing this story about Gangrel coming back. So if Gangrel comes back and Christian comes back, they could form their old faction from back in the day and go after the Judgment Day. I'm hearing stories about that. Whether that's going to be true or not, no one knows. Right now, it's just a rumor. Okay. TNT Championship, of course, I just mentioned earlier. Wardlow won. He beat Samoa Joe for the title as well. And AEW Women's Championship, Jamie Hayter, she came on top and reclaimed her title as far as AEW goes. We have plenty of AEW news, and ROH is starting some more tapings coming up real soon. You have to go on their club website in order to watch ROH as of right now until they find a network. I hear Tony Khan's working on trying to get a TV network to try to carry ROH wrestling, which, it's going to be interesting to see. I'd like to see what he's going to do. And, it's all the wrestlers that he signed from AEW that he couldn't use. Anyway. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. It was interesting. Bobby Lashley came out. He had a message for Bray Wyatt that he don't want to play no games. He would rather you come out face to face. But Uncle Howdy came out to do his dirty work. Bray Wyatt, he won't do you face to face. He'll play all these little games, put on his corny little show. Like Goldberg said, you don't scare me with your corny little show. But that's Bray Wyatt. I mean, he has to act like that. And as I mentioned earlier, he's not well liked right now by Vince McMahon. And I'm thinking maybe perhaps he may be on his way out again because he's being paid a lot of money, everyone. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, he's being paid a lot of money and he's not doing anything. He's only had one match. He fought against LA Knight in that dark match, okay? Or that lights out match. So he hasn't done anything but this. And when you only do this, and you're getting paid a lot of money, it's not fair to everybody else. Bianca Belair defeated Carmella via pinfall. I actually thought this was going to be a little more competitive. And Chelsea Green, who is unhappy. And this is the one reason why Matt Cardona isn't coming back to the WWE as Zack Ryder, the Long Island IC, is because he's upset because the way his wife, Chelsea Green, is being treated. She re-signed with the WWE, but she hasn't really been used very much. She hasn't been in any key matches. She really hasn't, been. She's been more of a jobber. Really hasn't gotten involved in anything, and constantly just bothering Adam Pearce and everybody else to try to find a place, and that just hasn't happened too much. Anyway, she got involved in the match with. She was in Carmella's corner, and then Asuka come out. Tried to spray mist in Carmella's face, and it ended up in Chelsea Green's face. So there you are. Logan Paul knocked Seth Rollins out. They come out. They're supposed to a face-to-face kind of thing, and it got out of control as usual. So Omos defeated Dolph Ziggler by pinfall. What else? Dolph Ziggler's another one. I think he needs to retire. He was doing some kind of stand-up comedy for a little while there. He was kind of like a lost soul swimming in a fishbowl. He just wasn't. He hasn't been around much. He wrestles very little anymore. And I know he's getting older and everything else. And he was hooked up with Bobby Roode, who now has a permanent injury and is now a coach at the WWE Performance Center and maybe becoming a manager sooner or later. So we'll see where that goes. Also, I have some news that I forgot to bring up earlier. That the authors of Pain and Paul Ellering, I mentioned this a few weeks back. As you know, I had to cancel all my shows last week, and including the ones with Smokin' Jim Frazier, because of my nephew is in intensive care here in Youngstown, Ohio, where we are broadcasting live in the DJ Fun studios, portable studios here in Youngstown, Ohio. Call DJ Fun today, 412-545-4317. If you need a DJ, let me tell you what, graduations are coming up. And let me tell you this, you call one of these DJs that has only been doing DJ work for 6 months, and they want to charge you $1,000 or more for a party. Call DJ Fun today. That's not acceptable to him. He will charge you a whole lot less, and he will work with you if you have a budget. Also, he does weddings, special events as well. He's done corporate functions over the years. He has well over 15 years of experience in doing DJ work. Call DJ Fun today, 412-545-4317. And we're here live in Youngstown, Ohio. I'll be down here for another week. I'll be broadcasting down here as well for all my shows because of my nephew being in intensive care. I want to thank everyone for the prayers and all of your prayers and support. It means a lot to me. And I also want you to send some prayers and support out to Smokin' Jim Frazier as well. John Cena accepted a match with Austin Theory. And, I kind of like this standoff here, or this confrontation, because it's time somebody put Theory in his place. Okay? He's gotten lucky. He really has. And, I was not an Austin Theory fan, but I've respected him because he's won some big matches as of late. He won the Elimination Chamber, which I didn't think he was going to win, but I kind of knew he was because he had to get through Seth Rollins, because I thought the rest of the field was kind of weak other than Seth Rollins. And I was right, because it came down to them too, okay? But if it wasn't for Logan Paul getting involved, Theory wouldn't be champion today, all right? And it's as simple as that. And Logan Paul's going to continue to be a thorn in Seth Rollins' side, because he really – he's unappreciative about the fact that Seth Rollins has been running his mouth on social media about him, calling him a fake and a phony. And, he's this media superstar. He's not a wrestler. He shouldn't even be here, that kind of thing. All right. Chad Gable defeated Baron Corbin via submission. Yeah. Here's another conversation for another day, but we're going to talk a little bit about it right now. Baron Corbin. Okay. Baron Corbin has been through 5 or 6 different changes in character, and he has done nothing. He was poor man's Corbin, or bum Corbin. Then he was a happy Corbin, telling corny jokes. They hooked him up with JBL, thinking that was going to work. So everything that Triple H has put together for Baron Corbin hasn't worked out. It really has not worked out at all. And what's happening right now is that Baron Corbin looks like an idiot, and that's the bottom line right there. I mean, he really looks like a complete idiot. The thing that's bothering me right now about these Raw events right now, there's too much talk and not enough wrestling. You know, you got Santos Escobar trying to, do things with Rey Mysterio. I don't know if I trust Santos Escobar. I'm hearing stories that may be he may be backstabbing Rey. Rey is getting ready to fight a match, I'm hearing, at WrestleMania against his son. From what I'm hearing, Rey's had enough, but he still, for some strange reason, don't want to hit his son. I'd take him to the woodshed. I'm sorry, I know you're my son, but you're making too many mistakes, and you're insulting the family and doing all kinds of different stuff. It's just out of control. Solo Sikoa took on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens lost the match won the match by disqualification because the Bloodline got involved again. And then at the end of the night, it was Sami Zayn versus Jimmy Uso. All right. And what happened? Sami Zayn once again got suckered into Jey Uso's nonsense, and he stabbed him in the back once again. All right. WWE, as I mentioned earlier, is bringing in Rikishi to fix the Bloodline. All right. I think Roman Reigns is out of control right now. He's scared. He knows he has a match against Cody Rhodes. He knows Cody Rhodes is going to beat him. I liked what happened on SmackDown on Friday night when Cody Rhodes said to him straight up, I'm here to talk to you. I want to just have a conversation. I don't care. Tell your goons and your cousin or whatever to get out of here. Okay? It's about time that somebody puts Roman Reigns in his place like this. And Cody Rhodes is doing it and doing it well. And I like what he's doing, and I think he's going to be the new Universal Champion come WrestleMania, because Roman Reigns is getting tired, even though he's only working part-time as a wrestler, because of his sickness. He's got that cancer. It keeps coming back and coming back and coming back. And, he's recovered from it, but, that weighs on your body. And when you're a professional wrestler, that weighs on your body. So he wants to go act with The Rock. But Dave Bautista and people like that, and John Cena, they can make money. He feels he can too. And he's already acted in a few shows, in a few movies. So we'll see what goes on with that. We'll see what happens with John Cena, against Austin Theory. I like this match for the U.S. title. Whether Cena's going to win it or not, I don't know. But I think he is. He's going to take him to the woodshed. This is Cena's last hurrah before he really retires. I mean, he's been a part-time wrestler in the WWE. He has a part-time contract, just like Brock Lesnar, just like Goldberg. I hear Goldberg's contract ran out anyway. They have no plans for him in the future at this point. I don't think you'll see Goldberg back in the ring. The last several matches he's had, or the last few, have been horrible. Oh, my gosh, they were bad. So I think it's time for him to really kind of hang it up. I really believe that to be the case. So he was a part-time wrestler anyway. He tried to, stay on as a Universal Champion, and it didn't work out that way because he's used to the family life. I mean, when you're used to, the family life, and you're not used to all that grind of the 350 days you're on the road, as far as the grind of wrestling. If you watch that documentary 350 I've been telling you about, you need to do that. Okay. And Sunday night's WWE Rivals biography was Chyna this week. Great documentary about her and her wrestling career, and also the Rivals, all different types of rival matches going on and everything else. And so, I mean, there you are with that. All right, let's talk about Friday night. Solo Sikoa defeated Sami Zayn in a pinfall after using the Samoan spike due to interference, of course. That happened as well. Rhea Ripley defeated Liv Morgan via submission. Liv Morgan's another one of those type that continues to be kind of like a fungus. She had her one time as champion, and then all of a sudden she's kind of gone down a little bit, and then now she's trying to resurrect herself, climb the ladder again. I just don't know what WWE is going to do with her. And Rhea Ripley's hot right now. I mean, she's really hot. She's going after Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. She's with the Judgment Day, which is a joke. All right. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow night with Mark Mancini. Also Finn Balor lost his match to Johnny Gargano, thanks to Edge's interference also on Monday. I thought that was pretty hilarious. It's about time. I think it's time for the Judgment Day to fall. It's time for Dominic to get his butt handed to him by his dad. And I think it's really time to sink this faction because I just don't see them doing anything at this point. Dominic Mysterio defeated Santos Escobar via pinfall. Again, interference was involved in this. All right. Drew McIntyre challenged Gunther for the Intercontinental title. And then Sheamus came out, and everybody else came out, and everybody and their mother came out. And now it's going to turn into what I had mentioned earlier, a fatal five-way or some kind of a ladder match at WrestleMania. We're going to have a bunch of people involved going up against Gunther for the title. The original plan was that it was going to be Brock Lesnar versus Gunther in a match, but Gunther will have already lost the Intercontinental title, but that got, I guess, shot out of the wind. So we'll see what happened there. And then Shayna Baszler defeated Tegan Nox via submission. Gunther accused Adam Pearce of poor leadership. Gunther needs to keep his mouth shut because he's lucky he's got Triple H on his side here. With this stuff here, it's not poor leadership at all. I think Adam Pearce does a decent job of doing what he can. I mean, he has to take orders from other people. Just like every other type of management job, you have somebody above you that always, has to give you orders and things like that. So Bobby Lashley, chokeslammed Uncle Howdy because, he wants to get involved again. And, Lashley came to SmackDown to look for Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was a no-show. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's a coward. What that means is he likes to play these little psychological games, as I mentioned earlier. So that was our SmackDown results. Okay, we're getting into our top 10 right now. And tonight's top 10 is top 10 WWE wrestlers who were buried on TV at one time. MVP is at number 10. MVP, he was a decent wrestler back in his time. He won some belts. He'll probably be a Hall of Famer. He's a manager now. He's redoing the Hurt Business, which I forgot to talk about earlier. The Hurt Business is coming back. It's official. Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, Carmelo Hayes, and will be the third wheel, along with Omos will be the fourth wheel. So that's going to be the new Hurt Business. Lashley has not committed yet. I don't know if that'll happen. Then it'll be 5. So we'll see what's going on. I'd like to see this. The Hurt Business was a great faction when they were together the first time, and I think they'll be better this time as well. Number 9, Raven. Remember Raven? Well, he just made the Impact Hall of Fame, or ROH, or one of them Hall of Fames recently. Raven wasn't marketed correctly on TV. His WWE career was kind of shaky. He was more of an ECW type of wrestler, and he also was one of them kind of guys that's been around the independents, kind of like Shane Douglas and some of these other guys. He's very difficult to work with, too. So that's another story. Cedric Alexander, we know about him. He's been shuffled around TV for all this time. And right now we're going over our top 10 wrestlers who were buried on TV. All right, next at number 7 is Brian Kendrick and Paul London. Well, Brian Kendrick, he made some stunts in he's had some stints in Impact. He came back. He was with that 205 Live, and then he's disappeared again off the face of the earth. He was in NXT for a little while, I think. I don't know what he's doing now. I haven't been following much of his career. Him and Paul London at one time were SmackDown Tag Team Champions. They got buried off of TV as well down the road. They always, those things do happen in this business when they can't find creative things for you to do. Number 6, Finn Balor. He's been on and off TV for a while. He has been buried from on TV. Number 5, oh, this is a definite Karrion Kross. They don't know what to do with him. They keep coming up with different things. He wrestles this guy, wrestles that guy, wrestles a bum. Then they want him to be involved in a match, in a big match, and he blows it. It's just been one thing after another with him. I wish they'd do something with him or just cut him again and just, he can go move on to something else. Triple H, number 4. Triple H was at one time buried on TV. Vince McMahon never liked Triple H, and he still doesn't. He just works with him because he's his son-in-law. Okay, they never ever have had a good relationship, and then when he married Stephanie, that really kind of made things a little tough. So he's been messing with Triple H, Vince McMahon, for a long time. All right, next, number 3, Rey Mysterio. There has been times Rey has been buried on TV, and right now he's being buried on TV. I feel bad for Rey. I like Rey, but I think Rey should have retired last year or a few years back. He tried to do a comeback. They begged him to come back. Okay, he has a wrestling school that he started up about 5-6 years ago. He was doing some of that and some coaching and some training. He trained his son. He was working with a bunch of lucha libres. But it turns out now that Rey Mysterio is trying to wrestle again, and I don't think he'll ever get the fame that he ever had once before. And it's time for him to go off in the sunset, I believe, as well. Bray Wyatt, of course, he was buried on TV numerous times, and he's buried on TV yet again. What is he doing, Bray Wyatt? We just talked about this twice on this broadcast. What has Bray Wyatt done? Nothing. And he wants big money all the time, and he does nothing. Okay, I could see if Bray Wyatt was every week had a match on SmackDown, or I could see if he was doing something. Bray Wyatt's not that great. I mean, he back in the day maybe, but he ended up with some mental problems and some things, and some other stuff going on, abandoning his family and all kinds of knucklehead stuff. It turns out that he just, I don't know. I mean, I think he's back only because he needs to be back. He needs to make money. Dean Ambrose, also as you know, is John Moxley. He was buried on TV after he left the Shield. They buried him. They had him doing something there for a little bit, and here we are. Okay, now our second top 10, and then we're going to wrap things up here tonight here on Talking Wrestling. Top 10 wrestling gimmicks that only lasted minutes. All right, here we go. Charlie Haas, the imitation gimmick. Now, Charlie Haas was a wrestler. He got hurt. He came back. He was trained by Kurt Angle. He was part of that Olympic team thing with Shelton Benjamin. When Benjamin first came into wrestling, okay, Kurt Angle trained him, as I said. He then came back. He was with a couple other wrestling entities like Impact and a few other places. But that's number 10. Number 9, Titus O'Neil as Pancake Patterson. Now, Titus O'Neil's had some injury issues over the years. He's been a spokesman. He goes around and handles the charities now for the WWE and things like that. That's what Titus O'Neil does. Former NFL football player, made some money on that pension and the concussion lawsuit and things like that. The NFL had to pay out a lot of money for that. Baron Corbin's another one, made some money on that. Moshe Rawley, Madcap Moss. Some of these guys that played football that were involved in that lawsuit made some pretty good money. All right, Chavo Guerrero, number 8, as Kerwin White. He was horrible when he came back as Kerwin White. Terrible. Once he was great in WCW. All them times he was going up against Eddie or teaming up with Eddie and doing different things. But when he came to the WWE as Kerwin White, oh my, it was bad. Hulk Hogan as Mr. America. I remember that. Vince McMahon fired him. Stephanie brought him back. This happened in the early 2000s. McMahon got this little power kick with Hulk Hogan. He didn't like Hulk Hogan. He thought he stabbed him in the back, did some things that were bad. So he decided that Stephanie said, oh, you know what? I'll bring Hulk Hogan back just to screw her dad. And she did. And she brought him back as Mr. America. He wore a mask, dressed up in red, white, and blue and everything else. I remember that one. That was pretty hilarious. Number 7. Number 6. All right, here we are. The Carnival Kid, Kismani, as the Carnival Kid. I remember that gig too. That was a bad one as well. Number 5, Emma as Emelina. Emma's another one sort of falling off the face of the earth. She come back, and she's not doing anything. Candice LeRae's coming back. She keeps on getting beat up by Piper Niven. Now she's hurt again. This is the 3rd injury she's had since she came back from having a baby, and that's why Johnny Gargano was off for a while as well. That's Candice LeRae's husband. So Kevin Owens, the face of America. That didn't last long. It only lasted, I think 1 show, maybe 2. I remember that. That was bad. Heath Slater, the legend killer. Wow. I remember, Heath Slater, he has 8 kids. He lives in a trailer park in West Virginia. Right now, he's in Impact Wrestling. He teams up with Rhino every now and again. I think they're back together doing something, winning belts, doing all kinds of things there as well. They've done pretty good down there for themselves. I'm glad to see Rhino back down there with with Bully Ray and some of the other guys that are there as well. Tommy Dreamer. We've even seen Sandman appear here every now and again on Impact. Paul Purcell as the Pirate. Oh, my, that was bad. I remember that one. Cody Rhodes as Undashing. That didn't last long. He was Stardust. When he was here before Cody Rhodes, they didn't know what to do with him. So they made him Undashing. And that didn't work out either. But that's the top 10 wrestling gimmicks that only lasted for minutes or 1 show or anything like that. I'm Ralph Williams. It's been a pleasure being here with you tonight for Talking Wrestling. Smokin' Jim Frazier and I will be back next Wednesday at 7:30. Don't forget tomorrow night for more wrestling. And that is going to be on Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631. And don't forget, if you want to talk more wrestling, I'm going to be on tonight on the Sports Web on YouTube and Facebook. Just pop up the Sports Web with Peter Blake. Myself, Mark Mancini, we do a segment called Turnbuckle Talk. And that's with myself, Peter Blake from Tampa, Florida, and Mark Mancini from Los Angeles, California. And I am Ralph Williams, and I'm broadcasting live here from Youngstown, Ohio. If you just tuned into the show, my nephew is Don here. He was involved in a bad car crash. He's in intensive care. He is in stable condition right now, and I'll keep you informed as to what's happening. I appreciate the prayers, and we need more prayers. I want to get him well. He's 18 years old. This happened on his birthday, and it's really sad. And I'm praying that he gets out of where he is. And I'll be broadcasting live from Youngstown, Ohio next week as well. So until tomorrow night on Blog Talk Radio, 7:30 p.m., myself, Mark Mancini, and possibly Smokin' Jim Frazier, if he's out of the hospital tomorrow night, he will be on Wrestle Sports Talk tomorrow night with us around the country, live, nationwide. Call 347-205-9631. You can listen to the program as well. And until next week, for Smokin' Jim Frazier and myself, I'm Ralph Williams. Have yourself a great night, and please be safe. Until next week, be safe.